I guess it's becoming tradition to open videos like this. Howdy everybody, I'm Anime Games Aiden, and it's been a while. Recently I've gotten into a bit of a Capcom kick. Been playing a lot of DMC, Resident Evil, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I've been playing some of their more obscure games. Games that really haven't been talked about in a while. I guess that's what I'll do, just discuss some of their more obscure and weird games. First, starting with one of my favorites, Onimusha. This may be the least obscure game series in this video, but Onimusha sure is a unique one. The series can be best summed up as Resident Evil, but in feudal Japan with samurai swords. At the time of making this video, I've only played the first two games, so those are the only two I'll talk about. But Onimusha 1 is so cool. You play as Samanosuke Akechi, run around this mansion slicing and dicing. It doesn't have much in the way of plot, but it kinda works in that way. I feel like the game gives you enough to comprehend the setting, and that's all you need. Ironically though, Onimusha 1 reminds me of an 80s horror film. I can't explain why or how, it just does. I really enjoy this game, but I do have problems with the camera and the stiffness of the controls from time to time. Feels like Samanosuke needs some R&D in the old dodge department. So Onimusha 1 reminded me of a horror movie, and Onimusha 2 reminds me of a horror movie sequel. You know how some horror movies have sequels that go on to outdo the first one? They expand and try to complete the vision previously shown. Well, Onimusha 2 is not that. It reminds me more of a Friday the 13th Part 6 sequel, but honestly, I love it for that. The controls feel a little bit better, but I also appreciate the friendship system. When first starting the game, I thought this would be something that I would grow to hate, but instead, I grew to love it. It allows you to bond with these other samurai and fight alongside them. I found myself loving these characters because they felt more real when they would show up and save you. I'd be taking hits from a boss, then they'd come in, offer a hand, and it was just so cool. I'm not sure which one I like more out of the two, but I feel that both are worth a playthrough. Killer 7 is one of the most unique games I've ever had the pleasure of playing. It's an FPS rail shooter that plays like Resident Evil with a Metal Gear style story written by Shinji Mikami and Suda51. For those of you who don't know, Shinji Mikami made Resident Evil, God Hand, and Vanquish, while Suda51 made Lollipop Chainsaw and No More Heroes.
Fuckhead!
That should give you an idea of the level of crazy in this game. Even though Killer 7 has puzzles, I was surprised to find out how fast paced this game was. You run from room to room, blasting heaven smiles, and getting some of that sweet blood.
Oh shit, there's more than 14.
What's pretty cool is how the movement controls are set up. The game has a fixed camera angle, if you can't tell from the footage, but it pulls it off just right. You can keep your finger on the movement button and rotate the stick. It's pretty hard to explain, but once you get it, the gameplay is pretty smooth. If you do feel like picking up this game, I'd suggest getting it for Steam. It plays the best, is the cheapest version, and has updated graphics if you care about those. Also, a major part of the gameplay requires that you make critical shots, and it's easier to do with a mouse compared to a controller. Although I played the game on consoles initially, so it's not too big a problem.
Fuck you!
Well, I think it's safe to say I found the most obscure versus Capcom game to ever exist. I mean, does anyone know what a Tatsunoko is? Apparently it was an animation studio that created Speed Racer and a bunch of other anime characters, most of which didn't have a life outside Japan. But besides that, I think this might be my favorite versus Capcom game so far. I really like how the game controls. Being on the Wii, you have multiple ways to play. You can use a standard Wii remote, or remote with a nunchuck, a GameCube controller, or a special fight stick. I prefer the nunchuck combo. It's easy to pick up, which is great for when you have friends over. Also, a fun fact, this was the game that introduced me to Onimusha. It's got a crazy roster. Besides the Tatsunoko characters, which you've probably never heard of, the Capcom characters are kind of unique. You've got Alex from Street Fighter, weird seeing him here instead of Guile. Soki from Onimusha, interesting choice. PTX-40A, and Saki from Quiz Nanero Dreams. I guess the roster was meant for a Japanese audience. Either way, this is still a great fighting game. You should definitely give it a look if you haven't yet. So I think it's safe to say I saved the weirdest game for last. Azures Wrath is a beat-em-up, shooter, David Cage type interactive story with QTEs.
Well, I'm gonna go.
Oh god, get that shit out of here before the knockoff Nickelback starts playing. Oh no, it's too late. David Cage, why? Why would you do this, David Cage? Why? Okay, got him back. Let's see. Where was I? Oh yeah, Azures Wrath. It's fucking badass. Some people call it an interactive anime. You'll be blasting the shit out of a dude 1 minute, then you run up, beat the shit out of him, and there's that moment where Azura's getting crushed by the dude's planet-sized thumb looking like fucking Galacticus, and then fucking Azura punches back, and it's just so cool. Also, Azura is voiced by Liam O'Brien, the voice of Gaara. Yeah, I never thought I'd hear the 5th Kazekage scream like this.
Making my daughter cry!
Also, if you see this game at your local game shop, I'd suggest picking it up. It's not that rare of a game, but I have only seen a few while browsing game shops. Also, it's currently not that expensive, so I would suggest getting it for about $30 if you can. Especially because I don't see this game getting re-released anytime soon. Well, that was fun. It's nice to talk about obscure games from time to time. You know, put the word out there and share your experience. And if you guys can add any games, please do in the comments section. I'd be glad to see them. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you continue to enjoy your day.